back with the Mizell Show.
We are back in the house.
And we have been talking a lot about at what expense.
Yeah, what are you sacrificing?
Really in relation to our work-life balance. We got 2 little kiddos and just what we fundamentally want out of our lives. You have one time on this earth.
Yeah, your kids are a certain age.
That was so depressing.
It was depressing, but also, like you said,
that's reality, though.
It's reality. Like, Briggs is only going to be 2 for a few more months.
There's no more I can do this when fill in the blank.
No.
You got to do it now.
Got to do it now.
And we're talking about why people don't do it now.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Mizell Show.
An inspiration for a new generation.
Hi, I'm Alanna Mizell, a loving mother of 2, a devoted wife to Steven, and an entrepreneur helping women realize their dreams and potential.
And I'm Steven Mizell, caring father of 2, a devoted husband to Alanna, and a driving force to help young men prepare for life after college football.
And if that wasn't enough, we're a biracial couple.
She was raised in the North, but I was raised in the South.
The only thing normal about our lives, who am I kidding? It's never normal around here. Join us for the Mizell Show.
Right now. There we go.
Okay, get this, Steven.
Yes.
These words are hard.
Okay.
September 23rd, 1956. Richard M. Nixon,
Yes.
which, whatever political party, he said in the not too distant future,
Not too distant.
we will move to a 4-day work week and a fuller family life for every American.
1956?
56.
And we're 2021.
He said this would come through the continuation of administration's economic policies. And it was in the New York Times. New York Times.
1956.
In 1956. My
We're not
dad was
there.
born a year later.
We're not there.
1957.
We're not there.
We're not there.
Not close.
I would state that we are going backwards.
Backwards? Yes, I could maybe see that.
Okay, so this year, for the first time in 8 years,
Yeah.
you and I actually took vacation. And we don't mean like took vacation days. We mean like did not work our regular job, did not work our side hustle.
Yes.
Multiples.
Yeah.
We actually did not work. So
No.
how many other Americans do the same thing?
Probably a lot of Americans. A lot of people.
We were talking about this the other day. I said this, I told Steven about, I can't remember how I originally heard about Nixon saying this, but we were talking about how it's ironic almost that what all of those economic policies in the Industrial Revolution really did was speed up everything so that we could get things faster and work more. And what COVID kind of did was halt everything. And now we're a year out of COVID.
And we're speeding
Sort
up.
of.
And sort of.
Yeah, I had a dear friend that I texted. She used to live in Memphis. We used to go to the gym together. And now she's in North Carolina.
Okay.
And I was like, how are you? Da, 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 da. And we had scheduled a call to talk. And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I can't. I have got to just rest. And I was like, totally understand.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what's happened, but it's almost like we took the new normal and tried to take everything that we wish we had done last summer and put it into the first 6 weeks of this summer.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. And I think if you've watched if you listened to our show before, we've kind of hit on this before.
Yeah.
About how things have happened and transpired through not just COVID, through life changes. And sometimes you don't take the time to realize what you learned and how you're able to grow from it. So this all kind of spawned from us in our conversation was just like, where did it come from? Like, who said that you have to work 90 hours a week in order to be successful?
Well,
who
and like
came up with this philosophy that you couldn't have a work-life balance?
who decided that was cool? Like that was the thing. Also.
Yeah.
Because when I did Excavate My Pain for a speaking engagement. I've done it twice. One of the biggest things is I hit this rank with my company, and I hit it because I was working 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And in some worlds, they'd be like, oh my gosh, great job.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you for working that hard for something you wanted. When in reality, what suffered was my kids, was my family, with the things that I was
Your
working.
mental health. Yeah.
Right. I was working so hard. What I wanted originally wasn't the rank.
Yeah.
It was time freedom, financial freedom, time with my kids. And so it's like
You
this.
sacrificed all of
It's
those
this false
things.
reality
Yes.
that you've got to sacrifice those things to get them back later.
Yeah.
And that's just not the truth.
It's not the truth, and it's. I hate to say it, but it's the age-old saying of it. Sometimes if you don't get off the hamster wheel and really evaluate it, you're going to perpetually say, okay, if I work so hard this month, then next month I'll take that break. Well, next month comes, you're like, well,
Right, then
next
something
month,
happens.
Yeah, something happens. It's like, well,
Right.
then I'll be able to do this, and then I'll take. Before you know, your kids are grown, and you're like, man, I've missed out on everything because I kept chasing this thing. And the thing about it is, it's like I said, we talk about it. Like we can go back to our childhood and what we saw growing up.
Right.
Like my parents, I was blessed to have a set of parents, and my dad was an engineer, and he worked for a corporate company for a number of years, and he created his own company. And so he was able to create from what I saw, a good work-life balance. Now, again, I'm naive and I'm young, and I might not see the things he's doing earlier than I wake up or later than I go to bed, but I do see he's able to be present and coach our sports teams. And,
he
and
did.
He coached Simone. He coached me.
Simone and Steven's older sister.
Simone, my
by
older
the way.
sister. He was able to coach those and create that time and work-life balance. And that's something that I think a lot of people are afraid to admit that they want that. And they think that they are giving their kids
because
all these...
society says that we shouldn't.
But yeah, that's the
How much shame do people get say I did not have Saint. Say I didn't have this podcast. Say I was a stay-at-home mom, period.
You'd be bored.
And I would be bored personally.
Personally,
but
yes.
Would I really? Because I wouldn't be outsourcing things like our cleaning lady that's coming tomorrow.
I guess
I would be insane because me and my kids don't get along that great. Because I have toddlers.
Yeah.
And I would need time away. But so here's what happens in that scenario. So another group of people meets you and I.
Yeah.
And they say, you shake their hands and you tell them what you do for work.
Yeah.
That is the first question that people ask.
Yeah.
What's your name? What do you do?
True.
And when I say I'm a stay-at-home mom, then what happens? Oh, that's so good. You're
That's true.
you're just a stay-at-home mom.
Just to stay at home mom. Yeah,
Right.
That's the stigmatism of the just, yes.
Right. Oh, I'm so glad you're a teacher.
Yeah.
It's like
we need more teachers in the world.
Oh, we need more teachers in the world. There's such a sacrifice that you're making.
Yeah.
I wish you guys could see my face because that's total sarcasm.
Yeah.
There are certain jobs that people don't see as jobs that have as much significance. But if you were to say, I'm the director of, or the associate head of, fill in the blank, as soon as you put in associate head, well, I'm going to start saying, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I'm an associate head of Eccles.
Associate head of the house. Or just
Right.
say, yes, yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm an associate head.
Yeah.
I'm the CFO.
I'm the director of...
I'm the CEO. I'm the COO. Oh, and I'm the chief diversity officer.
of the entire house.
I'm a chef.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I definitely see what you're saying, but I'm trying to unwrap where we think, why do we feel that is something that is the norm?
Because we've been conditioned that way. So men were working outside of the home in the 50s.
Yeah.
Well, and before that,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
women were supposed to take care of everybody.
Yeah.
Right? And their cute little dresses, whatever.
Yeah.
1950s housewife. And not even a stay-at-home mom. You were just a housewife.
Yeah.
Okay, so then however much those men worked, all I keep thinking is Mad Men, the TV show.
Yes.
And however much they worked, great. They would bring in more money, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Right? No questions asked.
Yeah.
The women would have tea together, do whatever they
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
Depending on your income status.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Lower incomes, maybe not so much. Okay. So then at some point, women decided they needed to actually be in the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And to keep up with those men, what did they need to do?
Work more hours.
Right.
Yes.
Be there before the men, be there after the men, work twice as hard and more efficient. So then what did that make the men do?
Want to work as...
That's just what I think.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a cyclical cycle. And then media plays into that. And then you see these people that are extremely wealthy with 7 streams of income, but you don't actually ask them
How much
at what cost.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. At what cost is your version of success?
And that's the question that you have to ask yourself, and then you also have to ask yourself about the organization you're in. At what cost do they want to? At what cost does your overall success of your company sacrifice everything else? And I think you see a lot of companies trying to pivot or change with their work hours.
I just thought of the Friends show when they're putting Ross is trying
Friends?
In Friends. Oh my gosh, you don't know this one?
I don't watch Friends.
Oh, I've got to show it to you. It's hysterical.
Do you know the episode?
I don't know which one. We could Google it. It's one of the most well-known parts of Friends. So they're moving a sofa up the stairs.
Yeah.
And Ross is yelling, "Pivot! Pivot!" The women that watch this and know Friends, they're going to be dying laughing at that.
Okay.
Part. Let me just tell you. Okay.
So
anyway,
podcast complete. Alana's drinking a tea and she has a movie quote.
I have a TV quote.
TV quote.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I haven't said a song yet, though. We got to keep going.
I got to keep going.
So, yeah, a lot of companies are trying to pivot. We actually talked to a friend recently that they've gone to flex vacation. What do they call it?
They call it permissive vacation.
So they don't have to accrue time off.
No. They don't accrue time off. They're
it's kind
actually
of discretionary.
Discretionary based on your work and your relationship with your boss and what you have going on. But it's a way to try to help with the work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's a time in which you are able to plan a real time off of vacation and not plan like, hey, during this season of my job. Now, granted, there are going to be ebbs and flows of your job, but again, it's about trusting the people around you. So or
using up the days before you lose them.
Yes.
Was a big thing. And then the other thing was, as soon as we were talking to my parents about this.
Yes.
They both said, "Well, I don't understand how they can do that. People are just going to abuse it."
Yes,
and that mentality. And Steven's response was, actually, it's one of the best things for millennials because millennial-wise, and I don't know what the next generation will want, but for me, I want more flexibility and more freedom and my discretion. I want my work to be noticed, and for not my time to be why I can take time off, but my work ethic.
Yes, and another thing is I don't want to feel like I am wasting time.
Yeah.
Millennials to the T, when they are finished with their work and they can see a project done, they can see that they made step 6 out of 12 and they know they have, 4 more weeks to get to 12. All right, today I'm done. But if you say, hey, you need to stay and you need to grind it out or you need to do X, Y, Z hours and you can't explain to them why, that is a trigger point for a lot of millennials.
Right, that's not logical.
Exactly.
To us. Also, the other thing we talked about is like, okay, say you take a half day.
Yes.
And you take a half day off. Do you do the same amount of work or half as much work in that day?
You probably do more work.
I would say you do more than you typically do in an 8-hour shift.
Because you know that you have a half-hour day, so you're not going to be pilly-padding around the coffee machine. You're not going to be walking up and down the hall, killing the 8 hours because you know, hey, I'm leaving at 12. I need to get.
I gotta go.
I gotta get these tasks done.
Right.
And that's what it goes back to Nixon, 1956, thinking that we should historically or try to be moving towards a 4-day work week. And that's something that.
And that was before Wi-Fi.
That's before Wi-Fi.
That's before the internet. Like, they didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And yet we have so many more
tools.
I don't know what the word is that I'm trying
Resources?
to... Resources.
Yeah.
at our fingertips that actually we should be at a 3-day work week at this point.
It should be a 3-day work. But a lot of companies now coming out of COVID are giving people the opportunity to not have to physically go in, but they're still...
And realizing the profit margin that they actually get from people not going into work.
Yes. And Forbes magazine
actually did an article.
Yeah, Forbes magazine did an article that I literally looked up, work balance.
We were talking about it. And so Steven gets to Google and as soon as we start chatting.
And it's a great article. And they said
What's the name of the article?
The name of the article, because you want to quote that, COVID silver lining, a better work-life balance.
When did it come out?
It came out February...
of this year, 2021.
2021.
Okay.
And so they're talking about the recap of what we've kind of learned through everything through COVID, and some things jumped out at me. And one thing
they're requiring everybody to go home and still have an economy.
Yes, some economy.
Okay. Yeah.
And so one of the biggest things that I
points that
I saw, I got to now find it. But before pre-COVID, they said about 30% of the country was working from home. Mm-hmm. Once COVID hit, over 65% of the country went home to work.
I would love to know, of that 30-something percent, how many were IT companies?
That's true.
Like, I would love to see a breakdown based off of...
which one those companies were.
Yeah, based off of career path.
Career path, yeah. And try to see what it was. But I think the biggest thing that got out of the entire article is that they did a Flex Jobs surveying company, did a survey, and they asked over a large number of people, put it like that. They said 73% of people said working from home has improved their work-life balance.
And when you say flex, that allows people to go into the office if they want.
No, sorry, the company is called Flex Jobs.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Flex Jobs is the company that did a survey.
Yeah.
And they said 73% of people reported that they felt like they had an improvement of their work-life balance.
Wow.
73%.
Did you know that I sell makeup? Not only do I sell makeup, but the makeup that I sell is 3D makeup, which allows you to highlight and contour your face in a super simple compact. As a mom, I could not survive without my simplified routine. Not only that, but it's exactly what you need. Exactly when you need it, all in one spot. Go ahead and check out Alanna Mizell on Instagram or alannamizell.com to learn more.
And the article goes on to say people felt a larger work-life balance from not the pressures of having to get up and be immediately at work or driving and commuting the 2 or 3 hours, driving home. A lot of them said going home from work they felt a heightened sense of anxiety because they're going home not knowing they missed what they missed out on, but they've been there the whole day.
I mean,
they can
for some
plan those
people,
things
you've
out.
saved hours in your day.
Yeah, they said people on average of 3 to 4 hours of commute from just being in the car, and so I just challenge the listeners, the people that we're listening to, is that we're not saying go and quit your job. We're saying
oh my gosh, no, please don't.
Look
unless
you
need to be quitting your job, right?
You need to evaluate and have these conversations at the dinner table, because a lot of times people could hide behind their jobs, but COVID kind of pulled the rug out from under. It's like, hey, well, you can't go to the office. Like, you're here with me now, and so
Yeah, go ahead.
So how can you get what you learned from COVID, and you see that you actually like your family, you want to be around your family, but then the work hopefully. Now the work is like, hey, well, we need you back in the office for 80 hours. We're like, well, I really enjoyed my family time.
Right.
And so you have this person that's in the middle of the road, like, all right, what do I do?
So the average person saved 3 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So imagine it's 3 hours a day times 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's 15 hours.
Yeah.
15 hours in a young child's life
is a lot.
Let's quantify that over 18 years.
I can't do that math.
I'm about to do it. You guys, I'm about to do it. This is what we do all the time. I think of these things.
Yeah, I think Alanna then goes into the calculation mode.
You guys, 14,040 hours saved.
No,
14,000 hours
How many
saved.
days?
How many days did we just save? 585 days.
It's a lot of days. It's a lot of baseball games. It's a lot of track
That's
events
over a year and a half more
of your child's life.
of your child's life.
Or your wife, or whoever you're hanging out, like your spouse, your
Right,
partner.
I'm just thinking of it because, everybody says you have 18 summers. Really, you don't, because by the time you have like 10.
Yeah.
You have, and there's that number of like how many minutes you have and days and blah, blah, blah. So really what we just said is if you worked from home, on average, people get over a year and a half back in their child's life.
Yes.
And really, you're getting over a year and a halk back of your life.
Of your life, too.
Whether you have kids or not.
Yeah.
You're getting an hour and a half back.
Yeah.
So also imagine this. So imagine you want to go see your friends that you haven't seen in a year and a half. Mm-hmm. And typically, it's an hour and a half home.
Yeah.
Because if you're saving 3 hours a day, it's an hour and a half in the morning, hour and a half when you get home.
Yeah.
Right? So it's no longer going to take you an hour and a half to get home. You just go change when you're done at 5.
Yeah.
And then you walk out the door. Yeah. So now versus meeting them at 7:30, 8 o'clock, you can meet them at 6.
Yeah. And then on top of that, it goes even deeper, which we are so on this podcast, pro mental health. Imagine taking that hour in the morning or hour in the evening to like prepare for the day, to spend some time on yourself, to journal, to read, to meditate, to pray, and then to end the day a little bit earlier and be able to detox and unwind and be able to prepare. And that's all what we're saying in this podcast is that we don't have the answer, but we're trying to talk through the work-life balance finding.
I also think, we're trying to work through the work-life balance. Sorry to cut you off, Steven. But so even one of the things that my therapist has been talking to me about is just like, what boundaries do you have? So one of the things for us that's pretty sacred is Sundays. We are believers of Jesus. We believe in the Sabbath. And really, we do a terrible job at Sabbath. I'm just going to be so blunt about it. We do an awful job. And she was like, well, who says that he has to work on Sundays? I'm like, well, it's kind of the industry. And she's like, okay. Well, if that's really that important to you, why are you working in that industry?
That's true.
And like, it's just like, let's weigh those pros and cons. Like, really, what is it that we can do as people that are the workforce? We are not the top 1% that are saying, okay, how can we make it different to where it does have a better work-life balance? We'll stop going to work for the places that don't give you a work-life balance. Or at least voice that this is something that I find valuable as a potential candidate for your organization. Is it something you all are working on?
Again, it also goes back to, we were talking about just some sports in general and even some industries. Yeah, but who said that you had to do this? Like, who was the person that said you need to do this?
Where did it come from?
Where was the manual that said, like, did you have to do X, Y, Z in order to be successful?
Yeah.
Because people have swayed from those things and been able to be successful because you're able to pinpoint other things, like you said. But at the end of the day, until the worker bees decide to say, hey, you know what? Why don't we not go work for this company? Or why don't we voice this opinion? They might not hire me, but them not hiring me might give the next person they interview, hey, that last guy we interviewed, he said he wasn't going to work, so maybe we should reevaluate because we're losing out on talent. We're losing out on people that we would really think could impact our company.
Your top talent. And, at the same time, there's also something to be said when you start to go through like business management courses, they talk about efficiency in meetings, coming in with an agenda.
Yeah.
So like if you're not coming in with an agenda to a meeting and you're just talking for an hour and a half and it could have been a 10-minute meeting, what are you doing? Yeah. And the reality is that Zoom made it so you had 40 minutes to get your meeting done.
40 minutes, it's true. Zoom.
And like companies would pay for the additional time, of course, but some of them couldn't afford to pay for the additional time.
Zoom did some research about, hey, we give 40 minutes free. I wonder, like, is it the theory?
Of course, it should be a 30-minute meeting. There's a 5-minute lull in the beginning, 5-minute lull in the end. It should be 30 minutes
30
long.
minutes, yeah. That's a great point.
I can't remember what book I read in college, or if it was just Linda Bonin. She was one of my mentors. She said it was a book she gave me. I know that for sure. But she said there's nothing you can't do in a meeting in an hour.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And if it's longer than an hour, you need to break the meeting up.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so insightful.
Yeah, it is.
But how many times have you been in a meeting that's been longer than an hour?
I think we all have been in.
For what reason?
What reason? Yeah. And again, it goes back to the millennials. It goes back to everything in terms of like losing the attention span, losing the interest. And again, people are going to continue to sway and change these industries because people are going to realize, hey, I can't sacrifice certain things. I have to have my non-negotiables. I have to say, hey, this is what I want to do. But this is just a conversation that we have it's been heavy on our heart. Like who's deciding what's going on? I think before we wrap up, we talk about a thing that happened to Alanna and her friend circle. And she saw it firsthand growing up, the successful dad that was always saying, if I could just get this, then the next
when I get there, I'll be able to hang out with my kids.
I'll get there, I'll be able to retire. I'll get there, I'll be able to give them this. And it's a tragedy.
He had gotten to the point where he could. He'd gotten the job title that he worked for years.
But he still can slow down.
He did slow down when he moved out to Chicago.
Okay.
He slowed down. Now, by the time that happened, his oldest daughter was in college. Mm-hmm. His son, both of his sons were. So his youngest daughter was still at home.
Yeah.
And in, I think, middle school or maybe like early high school.
Okay.
Well, all that to say, he ended up having a brain tumor and he passed away. And one of the things that they stated was that from him flying at high altitudes, it may have made his brain tumor swell more rapidly. Mm-hmm. And they caught it way too late. It swelled quickly, all the things. And it's just like, at what expense? And he was one of the most warm-hearted people you've ever met. Mm-hmm. He had been through a lot in his life. He worked very hard. Very hard. Mm-hmm. Brilliant man. He knew multiple languages. One time he was flying over to France. He knew Spanish. He knew Italian. He learned French on his flight over to France.
Yeah.
Like fluent by the time he got there.
Yeah.
Brilliant man. Loved with all of his heart. And it's just like you just long for the times that we could have known him growing up.
Yeah.
And I know that everybody in his family does. And I think if you were to actually talk to him later on and say, was it worth it? I think a part of him would say no.
Yeah. The
only thing that I would say, knowing him so well, that he would say was worth it, was that his family's taken care of.
That's it.
Like, they are taken care of. He knows that. He planned it that way.
Yeah.
And when he was home, he was present.
Yeah.
But when he wasn't, you can't do anything from France.
No, you can't. Yeah.
And there's just a lot of heartache that comes with that. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that I think sticks with me.
Yeah.
And our kids. And like, especially after finishing out COVID, we have no idea if there's going to be another deadly virus come 2 years from now.
You don't know.
Come next year.
Yeah.
We have no idea. So we're going to waste another 15 hours a week driving to and from work.
Or we're going to...
At what expense?
We're not going to reevaluate our Sabbaths. We're not going to reevaluate the times and the weekends as a family.
What I'm doing. Do I need to be doing it this way? Can I streamline? Is there an efficiency model that I could be working from?
Yeah.
That ultimately gets the same amount done in less hours because I'm more focused and I'm time blocking.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that, was on our heart this week at the Myself Show.
For sure.
Like we're struggling with it. And we see it, and then we also see our friends going through it, and we just kind of want to talk through it and let you guys start marinating. Like, where are you right now in your career? Mm-hmm. Where are you with your work-life balance? Do you need to reevaluate it? Do you want to ask us some questions? Do you want to just figure out some things? But we challenge you to really look into what you're doing, and is it bringing you fulfillment, and what is it taking out of you?
And ask, like, does it have to be that way?
Yeah.
Are there companies that aren't doing it that way?
Mm-hmm.
And if your company is, why?
Yeah.
Those type things. You guys, we are so grateful that you have been checking out the Mizell Show. Little thought nugget from Steven and I. Yet again, I think this is like number two that
two.
we've had that like didn't have an ending of what to do next.
No,
but I
just-
guess ultimately you do. You have your reflection point. And you guys check us out over on Instagram at The Mizell Show. You can always send us an email, info@themizellshow.com, so we can hear more about what you think about all the episodes. Thank you, guys.
Are you loving The Mizell Show? Well, we love you all. And did you know that you can have me and Steven talk to your team or a group of 25 of your friends? All it takes is 25 people showing up on either a Zoom call, a Facebook Live, or really anywhere. Hopefully in person sooner rather than later. But how do you get us? So all you have to do is email themizellshow@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on Instagram @themizellshow.